Good afternoon, everybody. Just thank you for your efforts to organize such a nice event. In fact, in the global world, with the organization of WTO, when you're exporting something, you're exporting a culture. It's not just export of service of good. You see on the chart that the custom tariff applied have been decreased during last 25 years for 4 times. 50 years ago, you had another world. With the custom tariffs, everybody was protecting himself. With the organization of WTO, it was decreased really for 4 times. I called the effect, after that we have got, that the effect of the waterfall. Imagine 2 swimming pools with water, but different level of water. And there is a wall between them. When you remove the wall, the water will move, and you will have one level of the water in the unique swimming pool. That's happening now in the world. After the removing custom tariffs, we have got a unique world of the goods and services. But, when it comes to the resources, it's not the case. For this is the case that the world economy is global, is unique for the goods and services. But it's not the same case for the resources. I mean, in order to be able to produce these goods and services, you need the resources. You need the capital, investment, people, labor resources, mineral resources, and so on. You see that the population, labor resources are increasing on average in the world dramatically. But the problem here is that in some areas, for example, in Western countries, in Eastern countries, in the Islamic countries, you have a bigger increase of population, and you have a less increase or even decrease in some Western countries. So one of the resources, labor resources, is increasingly growing up. When it comes to the distribution of the economies, you see it's not relevant to the number of the people. But when you removed all the custom tariffs, when you built a new world with the World Trade Organization, except 2 countries, North Korea and Cuba, you have to understand, when you export services, goods, commodities, you export a culture, and also you start to move resources. At the time is coming, and the question marks is rising. What is the best way to produce goods and services here and to export them? Or to export the capital and investment and to produce export and goods when you have a labor resources? For last 15, 20 years, we can say that despite the slight decline in fertility increase, the population of world is growing up each year 1.3, 1.7%. Human resources are very unevenly distributed at the same time, and usually there is a shortage of capital, raw materials, and innovations. Well, when you are looking to the distribution, some mineral resources, by example, oil resources, you cannot change anything here. First of all, there is a big shortage. Each year we feel that the main oil reserves are going to be depleted. On top of that, the same is with gas and other natural gas, coal and other mineral resources. And of course, there is a non-traditional ways to produce some energy, but it's not enough. And you understand one thing, that the earth is squeezed like this. On the other hand, you are producing more population. Maybe not here in Germany or not in Armenia when the population is decreasing, but the average population is growing up 1.5%. Per capita resources are getting each year less and less. In terms of the current calculation, it makes something like 0.7% per capita resources. An average personality in this world this year had 0.7% resources less than he had last year. And we are going to have a less for the next year. Is sharpening the fight for resources. and it's creating a migration. As far as it was shown to you that population growth is essential, and especially it's growing in the eastern part of the world, there are two ways of solution. Or investment is coming to the people, or people will move to the investment. For time being, we can say that as assumption for last 10 years, people are moving to the capital, to the investments. That's created growing streams of migration. That's created cultural problems already. And this is why that the scarcity of resources will sharpening furthermore a fight for resources. The other issue is that this is very characteristic chart. You see, by example, the United States. The left one is the United States. Well, Germany is the totally other approach. But when you are having to the United States is getting more resources, capital investments than exporting. The net. After neglecting both of them, you see that for the United States, capital export is positive, which means that people will have to move, and we are going to see, and we see already, streams of migrants. Of course, one could say that okay, it's not so bad. Well, what bad? Some Armenians are coming to Europe to work. Then they will come back to Armenia. They will bring some resources, financial resources, in order to be able to develop their own country. But it's not the case. It's not the case because we have a problem. More than 60% of migrants will die there when they were not born. It's sure. It's clear. And that is why cultural integration is so important. And the importance of such an event will grow. This chart shows that, well, despite we have a lot of people migrated already from India, China, Mexico especially, but you know, in any way, it doesn't change anything. Migrants from Mexico, by example, they will live in the United States, and of course they will transfer some financial resources to Mexico, but it's just 2.5% of the GDP of this country. The same with China, 1%. India is a little bit bigger, 3.9. We have a specific case with Lebanon, with Bosnia and Herzegovina, with Armenia, but it's not going to change the total picture. Well, so in the world, you need equilibrium. You have different types of the economic resources: labor resources, investment, capital, innovations, entrepreneurship, etc., etc. When you have people here and you have capital here, they have to meet each other. And you have two ways. In any way, it means that there will be stream of migrants, stream of people. This makes the global today's world a little bit dangerous, because having in mind that in any way we are going to be an evidence of a big streams of resources, including labor resources, we have to create way when they can cooperate, integrate in the societies, and when it's not creating problems for the human being development. Well. Of course, today's world is a nice one. You know, everybody had a chance to be developed. We see new countries like China or Taiwan or Hong Kong. Well, they are doing well, but just be informed. When we take the most powerful, most rich country, and we take the most vulnerable country, the difference is 800 times. 100 years ago, it was 200 times. Which means that the problem is getting sharper. The problem is getting bigger. You know, but there is, of course, there are good stories. Brazil, China, or Hong Kong. But mainly, we cannot say that these good stories became global tendencies. Some people, in some cases, by example, take this chart. Here we have Ukraine, Russia, Armenia compared with Germany, Japan, and UK. And you understand that, this chart shows that number of students studying in the universities per 10,000 people. For example, in Ukraine, you have 600 students. Well, in Germany, you have 230, 240. And, well, you can say that by this figure, Ukraine, by example, could concur with Germany. But what's going to do an educated Ukrainian young personality? Well, he's educated well. His imagination, his understanding, well, is equal to the young German people. Of course, he's going to live in Ukraine. He's going to find his life here. Well, and this is, by example, education. This is the area when every nation made a big progress. You can compare some not developed countries with the developing one. You know, in Latvia, by example, in Lithuania, by example, everybody has a high education, which is very unique case. Everybody, 100%. Unindependent, where he is going to use his professional capabilities. So that's why we will, furthermore, we will see big streams of migrants. Each year we have 30, 32, 40 millions, which is more than half the world's growth of population. The growth of the world's population makes something like 50, 55, 60 million per year. And you see this chart, and you see that in the Western countries that the foreign-born population percentage is growing up, and you see that like this, we have got a problem. And this is an experience how to solve the issue. Some countries choose the way of integration, especially I would like to mention that the United States, Germany, successfully, understanding that the stream of migrants will come. And the other ones, segregation, like countries like Emirates, Saudi Arabia, etc., etc. In some countries, tendencies are tendencies of assimilation, we see, like China, like Turkey, and marginalization in France, in Russia, story with romance, also in Russia. Well, but in any way, there are these 4 ways to work with these migrants, culturally to integrate these people. Well, the best way is, of course, integration, and that is why economically, United States and Germany, they are looking much more successful than the other ones, without any conflicts, etc., etc. And to me, that's a welcoming position. Well, this was the point I would like to bring to your attention, that what's happening in the modern world, in the global world. Economy became a global, and resources will move in a more freedom space, but this free moving of resources is going to have its consequences. And I was trying shortly to show you these consequences. Thank you for your attention.